about sports. The Sinner and the Saint will be that show, better than they were before. Sportsier, funnier, more labradoodles. The Sinner and the Saint Tailgate Show on 1080 The Fan, the
Odyssey
app, and 1080thefan.com.
Hey! Happy Saturday morning, you beautiful radio listeners. I hope you're having a wonderful start to your weekend, but let's start by checking in with the most important man, Will Darkins. What's going on, man?
We are back.
It has been a while.
A long while.
Jeez, what's been a month since we've done a show together? Maybe longer than that. Thanksgiving.
I think.
Ooh,
It's got to
buddy.
be longer. We haven't been on air, really. This show, in its time slot, hasn't been on air.
Well, listen, there's been some college football bowl games that took precedent a couple weeks ago. Last week, had to do the trip to Bandon to go. Oh, yeah.
Did you have a good trip to Bandon?
I know you don't want a bunch of golf stories, so I'll tell you a very quick one that I think.
Can you give me a homoerotic story that happened?
Ooh.
Any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, constantly, but I'm trying to think of one that's safe for air. I mean, the whole place is like if you ever go to Bandon, you will recognize yourself in every single group. It's a parade of 4 groups of white guys walking together wearing golf gear.
Yes,
That's all
exactly.
the whole thing is. So yeah, that's just it's a mirror to who you are in your group, and it's pretty consistent around there.
And is every single conversation, the weather just blank.
Yeah,
The weather just blank today.
Yeah. Well, and the blank filled in for us was the weather was spectacular.
Yeah, it was really great. You know, I was hoping for blank weather.
Yeah.
And we got it.
Well, yes, especially in January. And we got it. You're not wrong.
We got it.
You're not, and it's a lot of off. I could have just hit my long irons, chipped. My driver would have worked. It's a lot of what ifs and weather. It's a lot of what if talk and weather talk, and then beer and whiskey and cards, and then more golf and more golf and more golf.
Yeah.
But a moment that I think you'll appreciate,
Okay.
we saw plenty of deer, which we always do, just kind of meandering around. The most docile, people-friendly deer you'll ever see, because like nobody's gonna try to hit them with a 9-iron. So they're just walking around, they're sniffing your golf ball as you hit it on the fairway. First porcupines I've ever seen, and I'll use air quotes, in the wild, because it is a pretty tranquil place. So 2 porcupines hanging out on the edge of a couple golf holes we were playing, and then. We take the Bluetooth speaker, hook it to the golf bag.
Oh, no.
We're walking up onto
Did you do that?
Oh, yeah. Really? That's exhausting to you?
Go on.
So we're walking up onto the 10th green of Bandon Trails. We were playing classic rock on there. The song Freebird comes on as a wild turkey walks across the green. Come on. You have to appreciate that. It's playing Freebird as a wild turkey hangs out on the green.
I have a massive problem with people.
Oh, you don't even play golf, so just
No, not golf.
Shut up.
Not golf.
Okay.
I have a massive
You
problem.
hate Bluetooth?
I have a massive problem with people who play their music loud in a moving setting. I cannot stand that.
Wait, explain like this, because a car is a moving setting.
Well, a moving public setting. I think you
but,
know.
but you're not golfing with a bunch of strangers. It's
Right,
our
but you're
group
gonna
of 4.
hear. There's gonna be other people, right, on the course.
Yeah, but
So they're gonna hear your music. They're
it's
gonna
pretty
hear
well
you
spread
talking over your music.
It's-
I don't want to hear that.
It's pretty well.
Another example is a hike. People will do this on hikes where they will get a little connector there for their Bluetooth speaker on their backpack, and they'll listen to music out in nature. And I'm like, will you shut that thing off? I came out here to ignore my wife and not listen to anything.
Yeah.
I just want to hear nature. That's it. I want to hear my nature, and I want to hear my kid complain how hungry they are and why did we come here.
If you knew that Leonard Skinner's Freebird would draw in within 10 feet of you a wild turkey, would you play it?
No.
Okay.
I fear turkeys.
Pretty cool.
The wild ones.
The wild one?
In Corvallis, there's a lot of them. There's an
sure.
area that's Corvallis is very, very flat, but there's an area that is very, very hilly, and there are a lot of
is it a
wild
valley?
turkeys. It's a valley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You just described a valley.
Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I know they have
Yeah.
at least one peacock
Mm-hmm.
in Corvallis.
That's where my wife and I met.
Oh.
The top of the cock.
Yeah, the top of the cock. That's a place to hang out. There's also a peacock that
It's
lives.
filthy.
There's also a peacock that lives in my mother's backyard. So you show up, and oftentimes sitting on the back deck will be George the peacock.
Oh.
And he's kind of a free-range peacock. And the thing that I like about George is he'll wander through the neighborhood. So my mother lives up on Mount Livingston, which is North Camas.
Oh.
And there's, I don't know, a dozen houses, and she's friendly with her neighbors or whatever. But everybody has a different name for the peacock because he just wanders around. He belongs to no one. He's part of the world, but one neighbor calls him Kevin. The other one calls him Pierre. My mother has named him George, so everybody has a different name for their neighborhood peacock.
So everybody feeds him?
Yeah, I think he does just fine.
What does he eat?
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Same things normal peacocks eat. You know, cheeseburgers, French fries, macaroni and
Mongoose.
cheese,
Spiders?
deer, elk. Just, we're out there one time, and he just massacred this little doe, and it was really gross. Children under the age of 4.
Yeah.
You know, just like regular peacock stuff.
How frightening.
Yeah. Well, but then we've also decided that if peacocks were delicious, there would be no more peacocks.
Yeah.
Not a real-
So has anybody ever eaten one?
I'm sure they have.
Yeah.
But if they were like, oh my God, this is the best bird, there wouldn't be none of them left.
Let's see. I'm going to Google how do peacocks taste.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if they were delicious, there would be no more. This guy just hangs out on the back porch. And not really the most camouflage of birds.
According to most accounts, peacock meat tastes quite similar to other poultry like chicken or turkey, but can be considered slightly gamier. It is often
so not the
described
same.
as dry and tough if not cooked carefully.
Have you ever had a dry, tough chicken? So it's not similar. It's dry, it's tough, and it's gamey. Yeah, that's why they're still alive.
I remember having some gamey chicken back in the day.
I don't think you do.
I do.
Really?
Yeah. If you get chicken from and maybe this has changed since I became a vegetarian.
Dun, dun, dun.
Let that sink in.
Yeah, I know.
I know. I'm
Yeah,
doing
we
good
know.
stuff over
We
here.
know.
I remember if you get it from Winco. Like if you get bad quality chicken.
That's not gamey. That's rotten. You got gross chicken. You got bad old chicken.
Might not have been chicken.
Yeah, that ain't gaminess. That is rancidness.
Like Alex Smith's leg. That ain't a leg.
There you go.
That ain't chicken.
Question for you. I've often declared this is my favorite weekend of football that exists. Wild Card Weekend. Now that it's Super Wild Card Weekend, instead of 4 games, you get 6 games. This is among my favorite weekends in football. Next weekend, you'll get 4 games, which is fantastic as well.
Mm-hmm.
Did the college football playoff lead up improve or diminish this weekend of football for you?
I'm very glad you asked this because I came to a thought after watching the 2 semifinal games, and it kind of permeated from the actual quarterfinal games too.
Okay.
And here's what my thought is.
Sure.
I think we're seeing one drawback from more games, which is diminished play.
Ooh.
I found the play to be quite diminished. Now, not in the first round. The first round, obviously, there were some blowout. Well, almost all of them were blowouts in the first round.
Yeah. They were.
But I
were all
won't.
blowouts.
Yeah, I mean, I won't blame that on diminished play. It's uneven matchups.
Yep.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
In the quarterfinal, now it did delight me to watch Oregon get completely taken apart, but it did seem interesting that in the other games the play was just bad. It
Ooh.
wasn't good. Boise State obviously wasn't good, but Penn State by that point started looking tired.
Yeah.
And they were kind of just grounding everything out. I found that to be the case with Notre Dame against Georgia.
But the weird
In
thing
fact,
about-
I think Notre Dame didn't have a pass to a receiver the entire game.
But the odd thing about the quarterfinal is half of the teams playing in it, all the teams that lost had a month to be ready for that game.
They
so
did.
They couldn't have been tired.
Well, it made an odd mix of rustiness and tired.
But
And you saw it even
tired-
more on semifinal because, quite honestly, the first half of the Penn State Notre Dame game was poo-poo
But
garbage.
that game was going to be that way anyways. That's just the style of those 2 teams.
They looked bad. They didn't look good. I mean,
I will agree
it
with
got
that.
to be good towards the end, and it was fine. But even the Texas Ohio State game, I was just kind of like, this isn't good. I mean, people look exhausted. It just doesn't.
Yeah, but I don't think you're
good.
giving enough credit to the defenses in these games. You have a ground and pound team. Notre Dame is trying to ground and pound. Georgia didn't have their quarterback. So that game is going to be ugly. But Georgia had rest. So I don't think it was a matter of that. I think that was stylistically the game you were always going to get from Penn State and Notre Dame. I think Penn State just plays that ugly style of football and just goes, you know what, we'll wait till we get close and everybody thinks we can do it, and then we'll choke at the end because that's the James Franklin way.
1 in 16 now, I think.
and you get to the quarterfinals, and I don't know about you, but like the only team, like I can't root for Texas. I'm definitely not rooting for Ohio State. I can't really root for Notre Dame. Penn State by default was a team. I'm like, you know what, James Franklin winning something, I wouldn't be mad at that. We're far enough removed from the reason everybody hated Penn State that I can get, let's go Penn State. And then James Franklin does exactly what I expected him to do. They looked like the better team in that game most of the game, but not enough of the game. But I think that's the style that they played. I mean, they don't have a wide receiver. They've got Tyler Warren, who is a great tight end, and they have some great talent around, but they've got that two-headed monster in the backfield, and you expect them to be like, all right, we're just going to run the ball, and we're going to kind of sit on your chest and kind of tap on your forehead against Boise State. And then against Notre Dame, you knew that was going to be an ugly game. Neither quarterback is spectacular. You're not going to have big play potential other than, to Warren. So that was kind of what I expected. I don't know that it was fatigue, especially since the game got better as the game went on. But that might have just been fatigue on the defensive side.
I think it got better because the score got closer, and that was pretty much it.
And there was more scoring. Yeah. I mean,
now, more scoring doesn't mean that the quality of play. I think what I noticed too was, and this was interesting, was that we had so much mix of NFL and college together. And now maybe this has been a lot through previous seasons, but I think we've had more than usual of like, I'm getting college one night, football the next, every other. And I think this year more than any, I really saw the talent difference.
Oh,
like I've
really screamed about this though.
But it really stuck out to me where I was just like, wow. Like these kids either look really tired or they are like 5,000 feet under the sea from the NFL level quality of play. And I'm not going to say it diminished the watching for me. It became very noticeable to me this year more than any other.
Well, I think the biggest difference isn't necessarily the talent, because there's a lot of guys on Texas and Ohio State that are going to be playing in the NFL. So there's NFL talent all over the field. I've always said that the holes in your college football teams are so much bigger and so much more glaring. I mean, that's why I think that the transition from NFL to college or vice versa is so difficult for coaches, is because you can game plan against the University of Oregon and figure out where their weaknesses are. But there's not big glaring weaknesses as the NFL season progresses. Like, even the bad teams are still full of NFL players. There are good teams like Carolina or the New York Giants getting better at the end of the season. Isn't that surprising? You're like, why don't they just keep losing so they can get a better draft pick? Because all those players are playing for their jobs and tell a NFL defensive lineman to take it easy, who's going to be a free agent and wants to get the hell out of Carolina or New York, to take it easy.
Also, the quarterbacks aren't that good in this year's draft.
There's an element of that too.
Just saying.
But last year, who ended up with the number 1 overall pick?
Oh, Bears, right?
Because of Carolina.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even the Bears didn't really affect that pick, because it was a pick that they traded the prior year. So that was a traded away pick. So even when there was a generational quarterback, the first overall pick still goes to a team that got it, through a different team. So it wasn't the Bears tanking to get that number 1 overall pick. That was thanks to your help of your friends that were just inept.
Vancouver Ford text line is 503-864-6326.
It's To-Go Fan.
To-Go Fan.
T-O-G-O Fan.
This text saying, "Oh, I guess we're over a program covering up child rape. I didn't get the memo."
Hey, listen, I'm telling you,
so do
I'm
we
not
still
proud
hate
of it.
Baylor?
I think so, but
okay.
But I don't know. If it was,
they fired everybody, right?
I know,
everybody got fired.
Yeah,
I don't know. What are we supposed to do here? Look,
they're going to keep playing football, so we just say that, like, the institution should have been shut down.
Well, how far do I want to take this?
You don't. That's why I didn't read the text.
Well, no. How far can we take this? Like, let me put it this way. I believe that there was a sexual assault, possibly a rape charge against a Oregon State player that got brushed under the rug many years back, that then Mike Riley brought in the accuser to talk to his team. And make it, full circle. So should I hate the Oregon State Beavers because of that? That's now been resolved.
Well, none of it's ever really resolved.
What about the Buffalo Bills? Should I start to blame the Buffalo Bills for being an accessory to a double murder from O.J. Simpson? The signs were there, right? He was abusing his wife. He was abusing
Patriots and Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah. So what's going on there? Why can't I say that about the Patriots? I think Penn State, look, what Penn State did and what they harbored was horrible.
Atrocious.
It is depths of hell terrible. But they took literally every step possible after that. Fire everyone. Give us all the sanctions possible. It's fine. We'll take it. We will get out of this. They hired friggin' Bill O'Brien, which was a step back, by the way. And then they brought in the most unassuming and undangerous person ever, James Franklin, as their coach.
Yeah.
It happened. It's awful.
I wanted James Franklin to get over the hump.
Yes.
Is that fair?
I'm fine. I don't really care to root for Penn State. I don't like them or love them either way.
Yeah.
I don't hate them for that fact. Now, what I do find interesting is that people are not hating Notre Dame as much as they used to.
I will say there's an element. Okay, so this is the same element. Marcus Freeman, very likable. And it was funny because during the broadcast they go, we brought up the winner of this game will be the first black coach to coach for a national championship, and we just think that's great. But then immediately Marcus Freeman came in and corrected us and got, well, my mom's Korean, so I'll actually be the first Asian and the first black coach to do that. And then the press conference they go, so you're going to be the first black quarterback. He goes, well, yeah, but this is for all minorities, Asian and whatever.
Yeah.
And he does it with such just consistency, and he goes, but this is all about the team. He didn't make it about him. That is a very, very likable dude, and I will say that I didn't spend a whole lot of time watching Notre Dame football over the last 3 years. This year I've watched more, and it's hard not to root for a guy like that who was just he's like, yeah, thanks, this means a lot. If it opens opportunities for minorities, he didn't correct her and go, the first Asian.
I know. Did you hear who that journalist was? I want to write on Twitter about her.
Oh, you can. Yeah,
I want to get pissed off about that.
Yeah,
I want to get pissed off about something that has no effect on my life.
But I guess what I'm saying though is if you're rooting for the people in the organization and not the uniforms, I have no problem rooting for James Franklin. I have no problem rooting for Marcus Freeman. Historically, I've not been a Notre Dame fan. Historically, I've never been a Penn State fan. There's 4 teams left. I'm not rooting for Texas, and I'm not rooting for Ohio State. Whoever won that game was going to be on the bottom of my my hope meter. But I don't want to drag back the entire history and see if there was any looking the other way on major crimes by any of these teams, because I'm sure there probably are more offenses than I would like to dig into. Based on the people that were there, I was rooting for James Franklin. He's out. I'm rooting for Marcus Freeman. Is that
Marcus
fair?
Freeman, yeah. No, I'm with you. Marcus Freeman's also one of the rare players picked him, and he succeeds.
Well, you know where he went to school, too.
Where's the
Ohio State.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So
I think Chris Ball was too, wasn't he? He got picked by the players.
Yeah, at Oregon.
Yeah. They advocated hard for him.
Yes,
and he was successful there. And I think that's good. It's tough with those because now you see it in the NFL. Antonio Pierce is a good example.
NFL and college are not the same thing, man.
Players advocated. They said we want him, and 10-game losing streak, and now he's canned. But
it's ugly. But so you think everybody's tired and college football is terrible?
No, I noticed
those are 2 good games.
But you know what I mean, though, right? This was the first season where I really I very much was aware of the talent. Obviously, there is one. But I was way more aware this season of the talent difference.
Are you looking forward to the championship game?
I am.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be exciting. I do think Ohio State's going to blow the doors off them, but I'm ready to see what happens.
12-game playoff or 12-team playoff. Right now, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do it next. Sinner and Saint on 1080 The Fan.
Window Nation customers have been singing our praises for years. With fast, local service and an industry-leading 96% customer satisfaction rating, it's no wonder.
I researched window companies for the last year to see what the average prices were and the quality of work. Window Nation nailed both.
Get 50% off all windows plus no interest or payments for 2 years. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Schedule a free estimate now. Call 866-90NATION.
Hey, Bluetooth speakers.
I do.
I know.
I don't want them. Get that crap out.
Keep your speakers at home.
I don't want
Where
that.
they belong, plugged into a wall. Luke Anderson, Will Darkins back for the first time in 7, 8, 12 months. Who knows? It's been a while. But we're going into one of the great weekends in football, wildcard weekend. There will be upsets. There always are. There are teams that will come out of nowhere, and then will be Super Bowl favorites after this weekend. Next week will fall flat on their face. The NFL playoffs is the best. There's no question about it, but we're still talking college football playoff. There is one game left in the first ever 12-team playoff. I think you and I both excited about the final matchup. I want to get your thought. If you had to grade the 12-team playoff, you have been an advocate for going back to the BCS.
Yes.
Because even though you hate Bluetooth speakers, you love computers, and you want them to pick the championship game. We play one game, and we move on. What's your grade on the first ever 12-team college football playoff?
I think it has been, I will say, whelming.
Whelming?
Yeah,
Not
over or
overwhelming.
not under.
Appropriately whelming?
Yeah, it was fine. I think obviously the first round was awful. They were bad games. They just weren't. I mean,
Sure.
I think Texas Clemson was fine, but we all kind of knew where it was headed. It was just bad. It was not. It was teams kicking the living crap out of very obviously not good opponents.
I don't know if you, I mean, I don't think you and I had a chance to talk about this. There's a lot about this playoff that we just haven't had shows for a lot of different reasons. But one thing that was cool, I like the on-campus element of those. And it was, I don't think it was an accident that there were like 4 of the 5 biggest stadiums in college football absolutely
That
packed
helped
out for that.
Yeah.
But that's something that in future years, I think is a big selling point for this. To have a postseason game at home for teams is big. I think it would have been awesome if Boise State hosted one of those first round games and having the Smurf turf out there, or if Arizona State got to host one of those games. I thought it was good and bad that you have Ohio State, Texas, home games at Notre Dame, where it was like, these are the ones that get primetime games. Dude, imagine Boise hosting that. That would have been awesome.
Well, I don't
So-
think that's in the best interest of the college football playoff.
I know, but it's in the best interest of the schools, and if that's what it's
Sure.
about. So I wonder how much.
Well, come on.
What?
It's not what it's about.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But I
think too, one thing that I took away from it was that as much as I wanted to roll my eyes at people who said the seating is ridiculous,
That's
the
pretty
seating
accurate.
kind of was ridiculous.
I would totally agree with that.
The fact that Boise State got a bye was kind of ridiculous. The fact Arizona State got a bye, maybe somewhat ridiculous, though the result was very close, and I was ready to see Scattaboo in the semis.
that game was awesome, and Cam Scattaboo is now a legend for forever and for always.
And now you start to think perhaps if this model does stay, will teams purposefully, or maybe I shouldn't use the word purposefully, will they not care as much to get the bye? Because quite honestly, and I think everybody will agree, Oregon looked very tired.
They looked
They looked
didn't,
rusty.
I don't know about tired. Rusty is the word.
Very.
They did not look ready to play.
No.
They didn't have that urgency that Ohio State had. There's no question about it.
Yeah. Now, a lot of it was Dan Lanning getting out coached. He got out coached.
Well,
I mean,
but his game plan was out the window 4 plays into that game.
Yeah.
I mean, that was.
Well, that's called getting out coached.
Well,
it's when you don't have a plan B, like Sean McVay.
He was on plan D that quick too.
Well, and again, it's being out coached.
That's
Remember
fine.
the Patriots Rams Super Bowl?
I don't disagree with that.
Patriots had never run a zone defense the entire year. In 2 weeks, Belichick taught his team and redid his whole day. That's what getting out coached is. And I think that if you're somebody like Ryan Day, who's been on the hot seat for a really long time, you finally got your flowers. People finally appreciate you.
I think if they get beat by Notre Dame, people are going to blow their tops.
Depending on how.
But he's safe. He's obvious.
I mean, if he gets blown out, then perhaps. But
But,
no, man. I mean, look, they're the hottest team in college football. They have been since the start of the playoff. So I think for Oregon, it was a case of looking just deflated.
Yeah. Well,
deflated
they got
after the season.
Whooped. Yeah, I get that.
I think that's kind of interesting. I guess the whole thing with the MLB too. You know, it's the same thing with the playoffs that I kind of started to catch on to. As there were teams that were like, nah, I don't need the bye. Because you get momentum and you start running and you start going, and so I don't know.
Well, I think one of the cool things about it, and you've already said that it wasn't about the teams and the schools, but I think it's cool that everybody got their flowers for a great season. Like, even though Boise State got kind of beat up on, they got their moment in the sun where everybody's eyes were on them. Where if they played in the Pop-Tart Bowl against whomever, it wouldn't have been the same thing. Cam Scadaboo got his, this guy should have been picked higher in the Heisman, and do it all Swiss Army knife style of play in that. Arizona,
he's gonna get drafted.
Yeah. No, he'll play at the next level. I don't know how good he'll be, but it's one of those things where he'll have a roster spot for a long time. People will be like, dude, this guy was so good in college.
Yeah.
But Sam Levitt, who, is a freshman at Arizona State, and Kenny Dillingham got theirs as well, and just kind of go, hey, what a year. And they played that game without their best receiver too. So I think Arizona State obviously shown the best. Georgia and Carson Beck, who's going to Miami next year, which is so weird to me. You realized how valuable that guy was, even though he's probably the reason they lost the 2 games that they did. But just having everybody got their little moment, and the teams that win are getting all of this extra praise on it. So I think that there's an element of like, if Notre Dame falls short of this, it won't be the same as, oh yeah, they just showed up and got whooped. They won some tough football games to get to where they're at now. And even if they get housed by Ohio State, I think everybody will go, I kind of saw that coming, but great season. And it's
one of the better bounce back seasons ever.
Oh, dude, one of the
you
worst
lost
losses
to NIU.
One of the worst losses in history. But it's a bounce back year for Ohio State too. Neither of these teams. I guess Notre Dame could have been in the 14 playoff. Ohio State wouldn't have been in the 14 playoff, and they're running roughshod over everybody right now. And so the chance for the best team at the end of the year to win the championship has always been something that I admired about all other sports. Where college football, it was like, no, you need to chunk out bad wins just to get there, to have your name in the hat. And I think this is the better way to do things. So I give it a full double thumbs up.
Well, and the hot hand thing too, you see it in other leagues like the NBA. Mavericks, last season the Mavericks had the hot hand once they got into the playoffs. They just started running over dudes. Timberwolves, you could even say that for them. And so, maybe there was a part of that I do appreciate that, as you said, we're not finalizing it to 4 teams who at any hour of that day might not be playing very well, say like Oregon, right? If we had a 14 playoff, Oregon would have been in it, right?
Totally.
Well, they would have crapped the bed in the 14 playoff.
Well, but they wouldn't have had to play Ohio State. They might have been playing Boise State.
Or maybe they would have.
Or Georgia.
Who knows?
But they could have played Georgia without a quarterback.
They could have.
I mean, that's the other thing. So, I mean, think of who would have been in. It would have been Georgia, Notre Dame, Boise State, and Oregon. I mean, who do you know?
I
mean,
I don't know.
I mean, I like Oregon's chances a lot better there than I do against Ohio State in their first game.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
That was a terrible draw.
Watching them just get completely manhandled.
Yeah. Well, and losing to the eventual champion is always one of the things where you can be like, well, yeah, but we lost to the eventual champ. Not that way, and not after that season, and a team that you beat in the regular season and all of that. Oregon fans will complain about the seeding and the bracket forever.
So Dan Lanning can't win big games, right?
Well, no, he won the Big Ten championship game. He beat Ohio State this year. But yeah.
Well, look, he beat Penn State. Come on.
Yeah, I know. Penn State made it to the quarterfinals.
Penn State might have had the easiest path of any team ever in sports in a playoff. That was absurd. SMU
I agree.
was not good. Boise State
didn't have enough talent. They were
good,
they
just didn't have the talent.
But Notre Dame.
This is why we're both predicting it. Notre Dame's going to get their ass kicked in.
Yeah,
they both didn't
Indiana
look great.
and Georgia without a quarterback.
Yeah, they both didn't really look great, and Ohio State's been kicking the crap out of quality teams. I mean,
the game last night was closer than I expected it to be.
Really?
Texas, yeah. I mean, I thought. I mean, to hold them to really 21 points.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty good. I mean, that Jack Sawyer moment was great. And you heard the whole story?
Yeah,
the first, the first player signed in the Ryan Day era, was Jack Sawyer.
Oh,
yeah, that part. Yeah, it's the Quinn Ewers roommates, and that whole thing was kind of fun. But I thought that that was Ryan Day's first signing as a head coach 5 years ago when he got the job, and that's the guy that put him over the top to get to a national championship. And you'll see what happens. But that was the one of those two stories that I liked better. So. All right, well, the rest of the show is going to be the NFL, so we might as well dive in right now and do a Sports Center update, and we'll get to your Super Wild Card weekend. We do that after this. All right. Pulling up, waiting for the page to load. See what the headline is.
Come on.
Then I'll read it and have no information in case you have questions about it.
Stop it. Come on.
Could we just?
What did you say? Did
you
you say something?
Yeah, what do you got? Give me what you got.
Deshaun Watson looks like he retore it.
He did.
Retore the Achilles.
I got a text from my brother. He goes, Deshaun Watson tears his Achilles again going into surgery, and followed up by the comment from my brother, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Only other quarterback on the current roster for the Browns is Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who might be worse than Nathan Peterman as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
You got to blow this thing up, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you have to fire sale everything.
Just eat
the money and
the Browns are browning it as brown as they can brown it.
Yeah, just go to the bottom of the barrel.
They already are. Well,
but they're not quite yet because they have talent on their team. It's just not.
But they're also doing what really bad teams do. I'll point to the Portland Trailblazers, where they know they're not good enough to win, but they think they're good enough not to be bad, so they're not bad enough to get top picks. They stink, and they get everything. They deserve everything they get with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I'd agree. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Will Darkins from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Aloha, it's Marcus from the 808. Need some aloha in your day? You need 808 Hawaiian Restaurant, bro, on East Burnside, Woodstock, or in Beaverton. Menus for dine-in, takeout, or catering online at ate-oh-ate.com.
football. So excited for this afternoon. Kickoff 1:30 CBS or Paramount Plus. Chargers at Texans. I'm hearing a lot about the Chargers. Everybody loves Jim Harbaugh. Everybody loves Justin Herbert. But by my count, Will, C.J. Stroud, DeMeco Ryans, and the Houston Texans, they have more playoff wins than Justin Herbert does in his career. Are you giving the Texans much thought in this game, or are you kind of falling into that Oregon Ducks, Jim Harbaugh, West Coast bias in this game? The Texans 10-7, kind of an underwhelming sophomore season for C.J. Stroud, but his numbers still look pretty dang good.
Well, I mean, the thing I think a lot of people are kind of looking over, or maybe they're not, but I think that plays a huge role in this is that, the Texans won in a bad division.
Yeah.
They play bad teams most of the season.
Yeah,
and,
but the Chargers division was pretty bad too. I mean, only 3 playoff teams from that division, and only one of them was 15-1.
Well, not only that, but the Chargers seem to get better as the season went along.
Yep.
The Texans seem to middle at certain points. Their offense really didn't have much of an identity, which is kind of strange. I think too, Stroud suffered from the sophomore tape syndrome, which is, we got tape on you now. We know what's going on.
Did you see his numbers? Like, would you care?
Sure, let's hear it.
63% completion percentage. Not super great, but certainly not terrible. 20 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, threw for 3,700 yards.
Okay.
It's not bad. Justin Herbert, 65% completion, 3,800 yards, 23 touchdowns to 3 picks. It's not bad.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Look, man, I watched that team play. I watched that team blow a game versus the Lions. Remember that Monday night game?
Talking about
was
the
a Sunday
Chargers?
night one? No, the Texans.
Oh, the Texans. Yes, absolutely.
they blew
the
a
5
complete lead.
interception game by that would have been a Sunday night game, I believe.
Yeah.
5 picks for Jared Goff, and absolutely no chance of winning that game, and they somehow snuck back and won.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that a lot of the NFL playoffs are about momentum.
But that game would have been, what, early November, October?
It would have been, but I think that kind of started the point at which the Texans started to look mortal. Even in the playoffs last season, let's look at the playoffs last season for the Texans. Yes, they beat the Browns, but they beat a Joe Flacco-led Browns.
Yeah, but you beat the team you're supposed to beat.
Sure, but
right?
then they go up against the Ravens, who, in retrospect now, looking at it, they probably should have beat the Ravens, because then when the Ravens went to play the Chiefs,
but that's a whole.
But the Ravens looked like crap. They did. They couldn't score. Lamar Jackson couldn't move the ball, which, by the way, that's probably one of the biggest storylines heading into this playoffs is if the Ravens lose in the first round, I would imagine heads roll, right?
Oh, they have to.
I would imagine John Harbaugh is out. You just brought in one of the best running backs of this century.
I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah, and you finally got your defense figured out at the end of the season, and you have a QB who arguably might win a 3rd MVP based on his stats. I mean, I know it seems like Josh Allen's kind of the favorite, but you lose to a Steelers team who's
so likable.
Who's on a 4-game losing streak?
If you lose to the Steelers, yes. If you don't make the Super Bowl, no. But I mean, it's not like they can't win any playoff game. But if you lose to the Steelers, what did they say? If you have 2 quarterbacks, how many quarterbacks do you have?
2.
If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks.
Oh,
they're not.
How does that work?
I know they did not discount the idea of playing Justin Fields in this game.
I know.
I don't think they're wrong.
That's another guy who I just wish would get fired already.
What Arthur Smith...
He got him to the playoffs. Did you know that?
Arthur Smith said this is a burn down the boat game. Like, they have to throw absolutely everything that they have at it. Mike Tomlin, for the first time, going into this year, I did not agree with you. You had an experiment at quarterback with 2 different guys, and you made the playoffs. I think that you're right. Going into next year, his seat will start to warm.
Start?
Yes.
Dude, it's warm. Give me a break.
If they win here, if they beat the Ravens, it's not.
Who's their GM?
Who is? I don't know.
Let's
don't
look
know.
that up.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, how can you not be prepared for this? How can you not be prepared to get a quarterback? Dude, after
they
Kenny
got two
Pickett,
quarterbacks.
after Kenny Pickett, you literally should have looked at your division and gone, okay, we are in one of the most quarterback saturated divisions there is.
Yeah.
Right? Save for the Browns.
Well, the Browns.
It's quarterback saturated. Okay.
Who-
So we had Kenny Pickett as our starter, which after about half of his
First round
rookie
pick.
yeah, who after about half of his rookie season, we figured out that's not going to work.
But they tried. They went and got a rookie quarterback and got a young
Okay,
guy.
that's fine.
Tried to build.
So
Okay.
after you figure that out, wouldn't your next move be we got to trade? We got to trade for somebody very significant. Not Justin Fields,
who was
who is broken.
Who
we
was-
need to put all of our chips in and go, our defense is insanely good. We have good young pieces. Our offensive line might not be great. But if we're going to compete at all in this division and actually get over the hump of winning a playoff game,
Yeah.
we have to do this.
Tell
Your
me.
solution was Justin Fields and then just kind of throwing Russell Wilson in that quarterback room.
This is the conversation we have when Geno Smith comes up. Who would you rather have had at quarterback that was available?
Who?
Yeah,
Like,
if you're the Steelers, who would you have rather had at quarterback that was available? What was the big offseason acquisition where you went, that's a can't miss? Jaden Daniels has been great. You weren't going up and getting the number 2 overall pick.
I remember, and again, in retrospect, this sounds terrible, but Aaron Rodgers was available.
All right.
Kirk Cousins was available.
Okay. Kirk Cousins looked awful. Would you rather have
I would
Kirk
put that
Cousins?
as a symptom of the team, quite
That's-
honestly.
Okay. There.
I mean, he didn't look good, but
I-
like, let's all be honest with it. The Falcons' offensive line is doo-doo dog crap.
That was a borderline.
Penix looked
playoff
like
game.
he was running for his life out
Yeah.
there.
Okay. Okay. So you would have
I
rather
think-
you would have
yeah.
had Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson and Justin Fields.
Well, and I think that the problem with this is
I
that
don't- I
he's
do
not
disagree.
gonna. Tomlin's not gonna move off this. He's gonna keep trying it.
Yeah.
He's not gonna go get another quarterback when obviously they need to go get another quarterback. They need to figure this out.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But
and that's a problem.
I would be more inclined to keep Justin Fields than I would Russell Wilson after this year. I
Sure,
think
that's fine.
both guys are probably going to get paid. But we were talking about this, I think, a couple weeks ago when Orton and I were doing the show. I would be of the mind of no matter where you pick somebody, in every draft I'd take a quarterback. I don't care who your starting quarterback is. Just get a guy, and if he shows up and ends up being as good in camp as Brock Purdy was, then you keep him on your roster. But I think every year you go out and you take a quarterback somewhere in the middle of it. The guy I'm curious about is for how good Florida State was 2 years ago compared to how good they were this year. Where's Jordan Travis? Where's that guy? You're telling me he's not good enough to take over somewhere and get
Too short.
and get some snaps? He might be, but a guy like that, I would take a flyer on every year and just be like, all right, I've got a guy that can turn into it. What was Kirk Cousins, a 4th round pick? Russell Wilson, 3rd round pick. You've got guys all over the league that were high draft picks that have found their way into starting roles in this league. I would take a quarterback every year, so you always have a Pez dispenser of guys that are, ready to at least get a shot. Not saying they'll all be good, but you have to increase your odds somewhere. But there's guys all over the league that you go, oh, yeah, this guy ended up being pretty good. And there's a lot of 1st-round picks that end up being Mitchell Trubisky and Carson Wentz and Daniel Jones out there that you spend too much time on because you spent a high draft pick on. There's a big bust factor if you go early. And, yeah, there's probably a bigger bust factor if you go late, but it's not a bust because you didn't spend that much on him. That's my move.
Guess where Jordan Travis is?
Is he in Green Bay?
He's on the Jets.
Well, that's a opportunity that you're not getting. Watch him learn from Aaron Rodgers and show up and be great.
That's another thing too. That guy's got to retire, right? Rodgers?
No, he doesn't have to. I think where I think he plays next year. Minnesota.
No.
Well, you know why.
I mean, yeah, I get it, but
Yeah.
no, I think he's done. I mean, the only offer you're getting from another team is for backup.
Yeah.
You're not getting a starting offer, and
Yeah.
he won't put himself down to that level. Did you
Yeah.
watch Enigma, by the way?
Enigma. No, I did not.
Oh,
Is that
right.
the
You don't
Aaron
have
Rod-
Netflix.
Yeah. Why? Yeah.
Yeah, the Aaron Rodgers doc.
No, I've not.
Oh,
It
Lord.
sounds terrible. Like, why would I watch that? I don't like.
It is.
I was so happy when they took him out of State Farm commercials, let alone watching a whole thing about that guy.
I watched it out of morbid curiosity, and
Would you recommend it if somebody else had morbid curiosity?
I think if you want to confirm everything you've ever thought about Aaron Rodgers, I'd watch
You want me to
that.
confirm everything you've ever thought about Aaron
No, that
Rodgers?
what we all think,
Yeah.
which is he's out of touch, completely deluded,
Kooky Dukes.
and yeah, he plays victim, and somehow he morphed into this very odd
Yep.
conspiracy theorist POS who, for whatever reason, wants to blame everybody else for the fact that he can't scramble anymore.
Real quick, speaking of backup quarterbacks, I love the progressive commercials where they bring it in. They just had one of those on the TV where here comes Colt McCoy going after the Hornets
yeah.
nest. So
Or Case Keenum parking the car.
So good.
Yeah,
Well,
those are good.
my favorite is Jacoby Brissett coming in to do the taxes. So,
Uh.
he puts on her glasses and he's like, there's like they
Yeah.
hand over
Those are fun.
hand over the reading glasses. It's fantastic. Before we get more, I want to talk a little bit more about Steelers Ravens and see if you think the Steelers have a shot in that game. We'll get into the games on Sunday. We'll do all of that, but that will have to wait till hour 2 because next we get into good versus evil. This is a Sinner and the Saint on 1080 The Fan.
Bellagio's Pizza, a local favorite since 1996. This is Mike Barrett. There are 13 locations in our area.
Just loves coaching football. If he's going to go and do that, it's a place where there's not a ton of pressure. He's playing the ACC where he has a chance to win. But at the same time, it feels like a pretty good low-pressure job for a guy that has been in the hot seat his entire time playing. It's win or bust the entire time he was in New England. Not that he was on the hot seat necessarily, but certainly the pressure cooker. So I hope that he stays at North Carolina. I'd like to see him coach college football and see how it goes, win, lose, or draw. Not that good of a coach without Tom Brady in the NFL, so let's see how it looks in college. Why not?
Now Justin's having it out with the home plate umpire. What is happening? I think he finally lost it with the strike zone.
A.J. Hinch came out and Justin's leaving the field. Justin Verlander has been ejected.
There's Justin Verlander getting ejected from a random game. Let's move to baseball because, I'm a fan now. Why not?
Yeah.
San Francisco Giants signed Verlander to a one-year deal worth $15 million. That's not particularly expensive for a starting pitcher in today's MLB. Verlander made 17 starts with Houston last season, posting a 5.48 ERA. That number changed to 8.10 in his final 7 starts. Verlander's going to be 42 next month. Was this a good deal or a bad deal for the Giants?
Oh, I think it was a terrible deal. It's not very smart to hire a guy that had his worst ERA since the year he came into the league. He's coming off of a season where not only did his ERA go up at the end of the season, he did not make the Astros postseason roster. He's going to be 42 as the season commences. I can't figure this out. Paying $1 million per start for a guy that is well into his 4th decade. Pretty dumb.
To me, it smelled of desperation after Burns got signed by Arizona because I think they were relying on that. They wanted Corbin Burns, and once he signed at Arizona, it was like, we need a pitcher.
Desperation is a pretty good call.
Yeah. Still sour over losing Corbin Burns.
You got Charlie Morton. I don't know what you want.
I'm kind of confused what we're doing, but
in talks to get Luis Castillo. Come on, send us some Jordan Westbrook this way, or Westbrook.
I'll give you Mountcastle. I'll give you our first baseman. He's all right.
Give me your first and third. Give me your corner infielders.
I'll give you Kobe Mayo.
Will he do a
pimple face little S?
Can he take over the Will Levis spot after Will Levis is out of the league and we'll be out of those Mayo commercials?
Oh man,
Mayo.
What a mistake, huh?
Well, no, those commercials still.
Are you still like them, huh?
It's just hilarious. It was
know.
like finally there's a Mayo commercial. That's the guy you pick.
By Best Food. That was the mistake.
That was the funniest part of it. They're like, you just picked a guy because he was handsome, and it's hilarious. Yeah.
All right. Time for our favorite story of the week. This one comes from the world of medicine.
Okay.
Pretty provocative.
All right.
Headline. Are you ready?
I never am, so bring it on.
Woman enters MRI with butt plug and ends up in hospital.
Okay, so the magnetic resonance imaging machine is a super powerful magnet that you're supposed to make sure you have no metal on you whatsoever, assuming this is a metal butt plug and causing her some issues. So what's the result of she went to the hospital for what injuries is what I need to know.
Okay, here's the background. Anonymous, it's a tough one. Medical provider reported the strange incident to the Food and Drug Administration in April of 2023. So this is just coming out now. Though it's received renewed media attention this week, the 22-year-old woman reportedly screamed out in pain as she was pulled out of the magnetic resonance imaging machine following a scan, which then prompted her delayed admission of having a, quote, butt plug inserted. Though an ambulance didn't take her to the hospital afterwards, the patient's ultimate fate is unknown.
Okay, so she's assumed dead. So we don't even know the injuries.
In the arms of an angel.
With the amount
Amanda Johnson, 23, butt plug, MRI.
What publication did this in? This
is Gizmodo. Tech.
We think this is real?
Yeah.
Why don't we have more
There's
details?
a link to the FDA report.
All right.
So
you think there'd be more information on at least the types of injuries sustained?
Let's see. Blah 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 blah. Patient was doing okay. The patient was not returned any of our calls yet to try to follow up to see how she's doing. Okay, so here's my question.
She's alive. Okay.
Yeah, I guess she's alive.
We guess
something else might have gotten her.
Yeah.
I guess here's my question with this.
Does that get through airport screenings?
That's my second question.
Okay.
My first question is
because she probably didn't think anything of it. She's like, it doesn't bother him.
Yeah. What kind of life are you living that you forget that, or that you think this probably is not a big deal.
Again,
Or that you have found yourself in that situation, and then probably 5 minutes before you get into the thing, you think of it and you go, nah, this is probably fine. And then also, I have another one. You get in a robe. Well, I guess we got to depend on the MRI, right?
Yeah.
Well, because I was going to say, like, maybe she gets in a robe. I know you don't have to get in a robe for an MRI depending on what you're getting scanned, but like she gets in a robe, no one like saw behind and was like, "Oh, whoa, what's that?"
Yeah, I don't.
What's that right there?
Don't know.
I see a jewel.
I don't know a ton about the variations in the equipment that she was wearing. So yeah, I don't know how visible it is at all times, and I don't know how much you're going. Hey, let's get a look at the cornhole here before you jump into the old big magnet over there.
Bend
Let's
over
just
and cough.
Make sure. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, this feels like bad idea city, but yeah, my best guess is makes it through the airport scanners.
Well, now, according to the version, the patient wrongly believed, the FDA version of the report, believed that their butt plug was 100% silicone due to the product's labeling, only later, painfully, to find out that it was metallic core.
Ah, there you go.
But again, still,
listen,
why
why
are you doing that?
Again, this is why the labeling on butt plug packages is so important. How many times has this come up on our show?
Yeah, you've talked about this a lot.
And listen,
you text me about it.
If you're going to be making products that are going to be inserted in people's, brown eyes, we need to make sure the labeling is accurate because of exactly this. And I hope there's a lawsuit against the manufacturer of said plug.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was New Year's Day 2022. I texted you Happy New Year, and you said, did you check your butt plug package?
Yeah.
And I said, can you just act normal for once? And you said, this is important.
Yeah.
And I said, I know it's important, but I'm wishing you Happy New Year.
Yeah.
You said, it's not going to be a Happy New Year if your butt plug explodes.
It's true. Just get
and then we didn't
packaging.
talk for a month.
Just get proper packaging. That's all that I ask. Label your your materials on there because lives are at stake.
Yeah.
Is that fair? There's your good versus evil. Well done, young man, as always. It's brought to you by our friends at 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. You should eat their food. It's delicious. Nothing makes your game day better. You watching NFL playoffs today?
Yeah.
You should eat Hawaiian food.
I might.
When you do. And go to 808. Or you can order it right online. ATE-OH-ATE.com. Locations in Beaverton, on Burnside, in Woodstock. Do that. In hour 2, we are going to talk almost exclusively about the NFL. The best weekend of the year. I know you want to get into the Blazers and how great they are and how they're an outside chance to win the championship this year, but we'll have plenty of time. You don't win the NBA Finals in January. Okay? So we'll stick to football for now. We'll do that next. Sinner and Saint on 1080 The Fan.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time
On demand. Sports.
Oh, those are so good.
The final frontier. These are the voices of the sinner and the saint.
Did you really think that after absolutely blowing your butt out in game one?
Did they blow their butt out?
Yes, they blew their collective butts out to try to get that win.
Oh, their weekly mission to provide hot takes, medium takes, mild takes, to boldly go where no show has gone before.
Take me to Flavor Town.
Luke Anderson.
You're welcome. You're welcome, world.
Will Darkins.
I know what you're thinking. What will the butt test tell us that the nose test didn't?
The Sinner and the Saint Tailgate Show on 1080 The Fan, the
Odyssey
map,
It's just turned into a gigantic Mexican.
and 1080thefan.com.
Hour 2! If you missed anything from Hour 1, shame on you. Try to be better. But don't worry, podcast available. 1080thefan.com, Odyssey.com, the Odyssey app. And if you order the podcast by mail or pick it up in store, know that the packaging will be properly labeled. You're welcome.
And do not insert.
What's that?
Do not insert.
Do not take it into an MRI machine with you. I can tell you that.
I gotta get my sports.
Because this is a heavy metal podcast. There probably is a heavy metal podcast out there that people listen to. They like listen to their death metal, and I need a break from it. Let me listen to guys talk about death metal.
There's a podcast about everything.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So there's probably somebody out there going, you know what the best heavy metal is?
Do we have to be on the lowest of low, like, ratings for podcasts? We got to be down there, right?
No, I don't think we're... Ooh. I haven't looked at the ratings for a while.
Let me check our station's ratings right now.
Our podcast ratings? You
Yeah.
got that.
Let's see who we are.
You got that. I don't think we're last.
I'm gonna guess we're last.
Okay. That might be true. Good. Who knows? What do I care? Podcast is available, though.
You should
So
care.
if you want it. Should I?
Yeah.
Should I
If
care?
you were competitive.
I'm like Mike Tomlin. No matter how bad I am, no matter how mediocre I am, I'm not getting fired. Keep me around. They're keeping me around. I'm doing just
They know what they have.
and I can do a whole lot better.
Yeah, they know.
All right, second game today on the old docket. It's 9.5-point favorites. Ravens hosting the Steelers. If you look at the last two matchups, the Steelers won on November 17th. They won an 18-16, drag them down in the mud type game. And then in December, they played on the 21st, and the Ravens doubled up the Steelers, won 34-17. Not sure who you're going to get at quarterback. You've had three different quarterbacks in Pittsburgh this year. You've had mediocre Justin Fields. You've had good Russell Wilson. You've had bad Russell Wilson. So I don't know who your quarterback is going to be this weekend, but are you giving the Steelers any chance in this game?
I think some, just because of the history, right? The Steelers do have a favorable record against their Baltimore Ravens, though as of late, at least their last game, it looked like the Baltimore had kind of solved that. I think the biggest X factor, of course, in this game and for the playoffs with Baltimore is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson does not have a great playoff performance, a great playoff resume. He has won games, but they always look bad. And he always looks like he gets solved, which is not what you want out of your MVP. It always looks like it gets to the point where he looks completely ineffective in every aspect of the game.
Well,
even against the
tiring
Texans.
out too. It's about a guy that's been carrying that offense in so many aspects.
See, I don't even think it's about the
mentally
tiring
and
out.
physical. Just
I think
wiped.
it's the fact that defensively they kind of key in on something about him that wrangles him. Now, the first season was the fact that his first playoff loss, which I believe was against the Titans when they had that breakout year, was that Vrabel had said to the DNs, literally just go real wide.
Yeah.
Just get out real wide and create a box for this guy. I don't want him going laterally. He can go vertically if he wants, and we'll put a spy on him. And if he runs past us 50 yards, we'll live with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was very effective. The Chiefs did it with an extraordinary amount of pressure on him last season in the AFC title game. So you want to see how he's going to react in a playoff situation at home to a very, very good defense. That's the X factor to me. How is Lamar Jackson going to play?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fun thing about this is there's few defenses that know him as well as the Pittsburgh Steelers defenses do.
Mm-hmm.
The other element, though, is he's never had a back like Derrick Henry.
That is correct.
And having that counterbalance where if you decide to go real wide and you start hitting, those interior gaps with Derrick Henry and your, defensive ends are lined up, 4 yards outside, there's going to be a lot of room for a very good, very big back to go in there. And if you're depending on linebackers and secondary to come up and help fill those gaps, that's not the guy you want to do it against.
Yeah.
So I think it changes your game plan a little bit when you can do the counterbalance. So how much do you rely on it? It's interesting because Derrick Henry became the first back ever to have two 1,900-yard seasons, and I know that he's played 17-game seasons more than anybody has before, so you can give him that element. But there were times this year where it felt, especially in losses, where they didn't realize they had Derrick Henry back there. And you kind of watch some of those games and go, why aren't you handing this guy the ball every time and let him be your pace setter? I know you have Lamar Jackson. I know that he's great, but take some of the pressure off of him. This is the opportunity, I think, that you do that and go, all right, our guy has not been so great. Let's make it as easy as we can for him. And I think Derrick Henry might be the key to this game if you're the Baltimore Ravens. And then on the other side, the Steelers are really interesting because, I mean, what do you expect from a playoff performance at the quarterback position, and how much does that impact, the success that they can have? Feels like a big one. I mean, all the teams that feel like they're the favorites have quarterbacks that have won or will be winning MVPs, at least on the AFC side of things. The only team that feels like they don't have their quarterback for the future is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, and they've also just been rudderless since Ben Roethlisberger left. I think that's kind of the point at which we can mark it and say that's where the Steelers seemed to be somewhat hopeless in a way, because every season before that, when you had Ben still playing well and you had Antonio Brown and you had the running back.
Yes.
What's his name?
That guy.
I always forget his name.
Who are we talking
He held
about?
out an entire season.
Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell. Where you had Le'Veon Bell, you had really great skill players on the outside. It was never a question that they were heavy favorites to make it to the AFC title game, if not the Super Bowl. But now that they don't have a quarterback, the Steelers are suffering from this issue of, look, it would be weird to fire Mike Tomlin because he does win games and he gets us to the playoffs, but how many times can you bang your head against a wall and not have solutions to really big problems before you just sit back and go, this defense is insane.
Yeah.
Why aren't we getting further? Why can't we do this?
Who has a hotter seat if they lose this game? I feel like it would be John Harbaugh, who has all the pieces. He has the defense. He certainly has the quarterback. He's got way more weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Tomlin, I think he ends up on the hot seat for next year. But would you fire John Harbaugh if he lost this game?
This game?
Yeah.
I would.
I don't think that's a...
I mean, I don't know.
9.5 point favorites.
You've given Lamar Jackson.
Your two-time MVP had the best year that he had.
Yeah.
He has the most weapons. The reason he's not going to win the MVP this year, I think, is way more about the weapons and the narrative where Josh Allen lost pieces and got better. Lamar Jackson got pieces and got better.
And the fatigue factor. There's always
I totally agree with that. He's already got two and all of that. But I think just looking at their off seasons last year, so that'd be really interesting. If I don't, I know I just said in Good versus Evil that Bill Belichick, I would like to see him stay in Carolina. If that seat came open and you got a phone call, I don't care who you're coaching, you would consider going to Baltimore, wouldn't you, in a second to coach Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and that team?
I mean, yeah, you would, but I think also something that's kind of interesting about, Bill Belichick, which I think we're probably going to see this year with the Tar Heels, is that he doesn't really have a good grip on youth anymore.
Well,
I don't think he quite understands it.
Yeah.
I think that he got a new slew of players. I think he had a very good core of players from the 2014 draft who bought into what he wanted. He had Devin McCourty, he had Ron Gronkowski, he had Aaron Hernandez. He got a whole bunch of players from that draft who kind of sustained success. It was either 12, 13, or 14. I forget which draft that was. But anyway, he got all these players that kind of sustained this success through the 2010s. And then once they all got old or left or retired, including Tom Brady, I think he was left with these young pieces like Mac Jones, who objectively is immature and doesn't really know how to play starting quarterback in the NFL. And he didn't really know how to deal with that. And I don't think he knows how to relate to them. So I think the biggest problem he's going to have is relating to these 18 to 20-year-olds who are even more indignant about getting paid than NFL players because there's no guardrails in college. There's nothing.
Very true.
Their number is whatever they say it is. And if you don't want them, kick rocks. I'll go Texas. They'll pay me.
Well,
they're dumb oil hicks.
There's going to be a lot of new GMs in college football very quickly, and that will change things. Just the drafts of player contracts that are out there are going to be more restrictive than the coaches' contracts in college football very, very soon. So I know that there are no guardrails now, but teams are going to start protecting themselves because that's the way that this will be policed is internally, where if you're spending money on a player, you're going to have a contract, and it's good for the players too, because we've seen multiple players in all sports leave because they're not getting the money that they were promised. So a contract from a general manager is probably the solution that you're going to see in college football, college basketball, to make sure that both sides end up happy, and it's probably a good thing. So we'll see where that goes, but there are more games being played tomorrow. So the NFL wildcard weekend not done today, so we'll dive into Sunday's slate and even Monday. We do that next. This is The Sinner and the Saint on 1080 The Fan.
I believe you deserve to be able to trust in your lawyer. This is McDaniel Reynolds with the Reynolds Defense Firm, and we specialize in just one thing. We represent good people facing DUI charges. I believe in practicing law with honesty and integrity. I believe that a few bad moments do not somehow undo an entire lifetime of being a good person. And I believe in what we do. We represent good people facing DUI charges. If you've been arrested, you need help, and you deserve to be able to trust in your lawyer. We're online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. The Reynolds Defense Firm. We're solid, we're here if you need us, and we are very good at what we do.
Hey, it's Suk, and if the last few years have taught us one thing as we head into another new year, it's to value the things that we can control, and addressing hair loss is no exception. Our friends at Advanced Hair Restoration can reverse years or even decades of hair loss with their simple one-day treatment, and your own natural hair begins to grow the very next day. And your new hair is backed by the Advanced Hair Guarantee. It works for bald spots, receding hairlines, thinning, men, women, younger, wiser. Advanced Hair's top-rated physicians have changed tens of thousands of lives, and now it's your turn. Schedule your free consultation by calling 503-832-HAIR, and to celebrate the new year, get special financing, 250 free grafts and 250 off. Value the things that you can control and start regrowing your own natural hair today. That's 503-832-HAIR, 503-832-HAIR, or discover what meeting your resolution could actually look like with before and afters at advancedhair.com.
For more than 50 years, PG Long has been the Pacific Northwest's premier choice for floor covering, cleaning, and restoration. By building partnerships with their customers, vendors, and suppliers, they can install quality floor coverings promptly and within your budget. And more importantly, deliver accurate information on processes, products, and pricing, guaranteeing a hassle-free experience for you. Before you take another step, call PG Long for a bid to experience the difference. PG Long, your Northwest flooring experts. Online at pglongllc.com.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Where will 2025 take you? With an education from University of Maryland Global Campus, it could take you towards your next success. An accredited state university, UMGC helps working adults like you learn the skills you need for the career you want. And with no application fee through February 12th, there is no better time to start. Choose from more than 135 degrees and certificates in career-relevant fields like business, cybersecurity, healthcare, and more. Plus, UMGC offers online and hybrid classes, no-cost digital resources in place of textbooks for most courses, personalized support, and lifetime career services. And with transfer credits and scholarships for those who qualify, UMGC can help you take a leap forward no matter where you are on your education journey. Classes start soon. Apply now and get your application fee waived through February 12th. Visit umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
The Sinner and the Saint Tailgate with Luke Anderson and Will Darkins on 1080 The Fan.
Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. You may or may not know this, but tomorrow, Sunday, more football.
Football. More football Sunday. I have to have more football. I almost got football fatigue over Christmas.
Did you really?
I kind of did.
Whoa, really?
I felt conned by NFL Christmas Day. It was bad. Wasn't it? I mean, it was awful.
Well, and it was funny, too, because you got the Saturday games the same day as the college football playoff first round. So you had the Steelers, what was it? Steelers, Ravens, and Texans, Chiefs. And then they played those games on Saturday because all four of those teams played on Christmas Day. So it was like the 2 days, like if you're an NFL fan, the 2 days that you got like bonus NFL was the same four teams. So I can see why that, I can see that.
Yeah.
But even Christmas Day, honestly, I didn't watch those games. I mean, I kept an eye on the scores and stuff, but
yeah, dude,
it was Christmas Day.
It was bad.
It was Christmas Day. I know, I'm with you, but it's double dose of Thursday Night Football is basically what it was equivalent to. And the Seahawks had a stretch like that early in the season where they played the Monday night game against the Lions, and then played Sunday against the Giants and Thursday night against the 49ers. Lost all three of those games, 3 games in 11 days, and you just go like we were at the 49ers game. It's just like, they just look absolutely annihilated. The hangover effect from playing the Detroit Lions feels like a real thing. The Sunday game, which I also happen to be at, was pretty terrible. But can you imagine, like you played high-level college football. Imagine playing 3 NFL games in 11 days and how rough that must be. That's what the schedule was for those 4 teams that played on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
It seems just...
I didn't like it. Yeah, I think they should knock that crap off.
I totally agree. Well, I still think
it's horrible. The product's terrible because the players are exhausted and they don't play well. And quite honestly, any Chiefs game this season is awful. I don't want to watch the Chiefs.
That's true.
It's so bad.
I can't wait to watch them in the playoffs. But
I know.
Here's the other question is, if you were an NFL player, this seems like the elegant solution to Thursday Night Football. Put it after a bye week. Would that, if you were a player, I know you would lose some bye week time, but would you rather have the full bye week or skip a Thursday night turnaround from a Sunday game?
I'd rather skip Thursday.
So you'd rather?
You'd rather
have the bye week going into.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would just rather get rid of Thursday Night Football.
Well, they're not going to do that, but we
it's
know
so
they're not
bad.
going to do that.
It is so consistently bad. It's bad from top to bottom. The play is bad because the players are exhausted and they're injured, or not injured, but they're hurt and they're playing hurt. It's very obvious. The booth is terrible. The production is awful. Just all of it sucks.
You watch your mouth on the
It is so
Ryan
bad, dude.
Fitzpatrick,
And Al Michaels wants to
Richard
keep
Sherman.
going. Did you see that article recently?
He loves Kirk Herbstreit.
He
so
is
good.
so
It's so
bad.
good. You know that I watch Thursday Night Football with no sound, so
Yeah, I get. I love the thing Apple did. I told you about this with the Friday Night Baseball. Apple does the thing where you can
multiple broadcasts.
No, you can watch the game and then you can filter the local team's radio.
Yeah.
As your audio.
Yeah,
And
the
I love
audio's
that.
already there. If they did that on Thursday Night Football, how great
Like
would
for
that be to
Seahawks
watch
games?
Well, for either home team, because one of the best things in football is you have a last-second play or a big moment in a game, and listening to both home team broadcasts is the best. Come on. Flipping back and forth between a field goal bouncing off and going in or going out, and you get both teams' reactions. It's awesome. And the Seahawks with a play-by-play that played receiver for the Seahawks makes it even that much better. But yes, that would be the ideal situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hear you. I feel you. So your game's tomorrow, 10 a.m., Broncos at Bills, 8.5-point favorites. Bills. You giving the Broncos a chance in that game?
Oh, maybe early on. Obviously, the Broncos defense is very good, but Bills. This is obviously a must-win game. I mean, they're all must-win games, but this is a must-win in terms of you have an MVP, most likely MVP winning quarterback. This is the weakest the Chiefs have ever looked heading into the playoffs, so you have a chance to beat the team that seems to be your foil every single time.
And they beat them in the regular season.
Beat them in they tend to do that.
Yep.
But again, this is the weakest the Chiefs have ever been. You will
15-1. This is the weakest.
I know. But
I don't disagree. It's just
bad.
just funny because they've lost one game all year.
I know.
But
they just look horrible.
If they win this year, you'll look back in 100 years and be like, that must have been the best team ever. They got a three-peat. They went 15-1. That third team has to be the best.
This will remind me of the 98 Bulls.
The Last Dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because really, even at the time, I remember it was rough watching.
Yeah, well.
It was because it was diminished Jordan, Pippen injured the entire playoffs, and Dennis Rodman, who we now know was high and drunk all the time.
when he was in town and when he wasn't. All right, so you're feeling pretty good about the Bills, and
I think so.
It'll be fun to see Bo Nix go out there and get a chance.
Great story for him too.
Sean Payton. And the other thing about Bo Nix, real quick, he might be doing more with less around him than anybody else in the NFL too.
Yeah.
There are not a lot of weapons on that offense. And Sean Payton is a good big game coach. It'll be fun to see what tricks he has up his sleeve.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in for that. Packers, Eagles. You've got the Philadelphia as a 5-point favorite, but the Packers seem to get better as the year goes on with Jordan Love at the helm. You giving the Packers much chance in this game?
I'll tell you what. If I was a gambling man, which I'm not,
I know.
I would stay away from this one.
Yeah.
Just because you have two is seeming to be defective quarterbacks, one of which has been in concussion protocol for 2 weeks and has only done some practice, though of course he's going to play. We know that.
Yeah.
And then you have another one who hurt his elbow, though there has been talk that he hit his funny bone really hard.
Yeah.
I really don't care. If you're a quarterback and you hurt your throwing elbow, I'm slightly concerned about you.
Funny bone is one of those weird things.
Yeah.
That, oh my goodness.
You also lost your best deep threat in Watson at the end of the season for the Packers, so that's going to be something. Again, there's the internal strife within the Eagles,
which is really fun to watch.
It is fun to watch. And look, if you think that there's not some animosity about the idea that they sat Saquon Barkley to break the record,
he chose to sit, from what I understand. Sirianni said, "I'll do what the players want to do."
I think
which seemed like the right answer.
I think he got into it. I think he was walking to the trainer's room and he got led into a small room by the GM and coach, and they said, "For the love of all that's holy, do not play this week.
It won't count
Please."
anyways. It's 17 games. Nobody will
Yes.
care.
Yes, it's not worth it to make Eric Dickerson pissed off. He's pissed off all the time.
Eric Dickerson just comes and takes out his knees like Tanya Harding.
That's all right.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
He's mad all the time.
He really is.
He gets in little spats.
He's
here
an
and there.
angry young man. There is no question about it.
So anyway, if I had to pick, I'd go with the Eagles just because they've been looking the strongest towards the end of the season. But that really is a toss-up, man. The Packers are also playing really well.
I think the two big toss-ups this weekend are going to be your Sunday night cap and your Monday night game. The Commanders at Buccaneers. Jaden Daniels is the runaway favorite to win the Rookie of the Year,
which is ridiculous.
He's been sensational. Wow.
Dude, Brock Bowers, are you joking?
Wow.
Oh,
especially with such
Lord.
a terrible team. He had Aiden O'Connell and the Gardner.
gosh.
I know.
I mean, even Bo Nix, I think there's a great argument for it.
Brock Bowers, coming close to breaking all of the tight end records. It was, I don't think I've told you this story, but it just absolutely cracked me up. I was watching Georgia play end of the season game, mid to end of the season game on Saturday. I was like, how come I haven't heard much about Brock Bowers? And the next day I was in the car, and the only game being broadcast in the 10 a.m. time slot was the Raiders game.
Yeah.
And it was Brock Bowers radio, because there's not much else
Bowers
going
with
on.
catch.
And but it was just, and I can't remember who does the color commentary is Lincoln Kennedy. Can't remember who does the play-by-play for their radio, but it was just those two guys just talking about Brock Bowers in every break. And it was before he was on record pace for everything, but it was like that day, and then I was paying full attention to it. And but it was just one of those timing things. But yeah, Brock Bowers has been absolutely ridiculous, and he'll probably win Offensive Player of the Year, but not MVP. But the
Offensive Rookie of the Year.
He could win offensive. Yes, Offensive Rookie of the Year, but then not.
I don't know
Rookie
if there's
of
an
the Year.
award for that. He won't win offensive. I think what they'll do is give Lamar Offensive Player of the Year, and they'll give
there you go.
Allen the MVP.
But the Rookie of the Year going to Jaden Daniels, a lot of it has to do with how well the team played. And I know that these aren't all MVP years, but the Raiders were so bad, and the
Well, and the Hail Mary.
Well, totally.
He won it after the Hail Mary.
Yep.
I mean, unless he imploded, which he didn't. After the Hail Mary, it was like, this guy's going to win it.
But that game should be a ton of fun to watch.
Yes.
A lot of work to do to finish the defense for the Commanders, and you have an offense that can score 30 straight in a game with Baker Mayfield and what they've been able to do. So
also led the league in interceptions, which I do like that people have swept that under the rug. Look, he's had a really great season.
I didn't say, but that's not what I said. I said they can run off 30 straight in a game, which is what makes it so erratic. Like this game could go either direction, which should be a tough.
He's had a great season, and people have really praised him, which they should. And he has had one of the better NFL stories, which is,
redemption.
Yeah, redemption. I believe he was first overall.
He was the first overall pick, which was like kind of a controversial one where people didn't think he deserved it.
And then he goes to a franchise that historically has no playoff success. He wins a playoff game, hurt,
and then gets fired.
And then gets fired for a scumbag.
Super scumbag.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then bounces around between the Panthers and Rams, wins a fourth quarter game
for the Rams. How good was that?
Which was amazing, which basically got him the job.
Yeah. Here's your audition tape. He Matt Flynned his stint with
He did. And he delivered. Exactly. Yeah. Instead of Matt Flynn, he actually delivered.
Yeah.
I saw a really great meme the other day. They showed that Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield were both on the Panthers together at one time.
Yep.
And I was like, really? The Panthers are so inept that they didn't even know what they had?
Yeah, well, Bryce Young looks like he might be an NFL quarterback, so you have to give them.
He looks good.
He
looked better.
He looked much better. I don't know if he looked good yet, but he looked much better.
It was
after
obviously
getting benched.
very correct. Yeah, getting him benched, getting Andy Dalton in the quarterback room to kind of
having a veteran there to kind of show him how it works. Yeah. And then your final game is Vikings at Rams, and that Rams defense is something else.
Yes,
it is. I don't know how much anybody expected from a group of, I think they have 5 starters that are in their first or second year.
Yeah.
And Jared Verse is probably Defensive Rookie of the Year. He has been absolutely awesome, but there's guys dotted all over that map that you're like, where did this guy come from? And how did everybody else miss on these guys? And Sean McVay doesn't get enough credit for how good his defenses have been the entire time, because he's this, offensive wonderkind. And it's really the defense that has been remarkable in his entire run. He's a great head coach, and Les Snead has been so good at finding diamonds in the rough, and Puka Nacua is outstanding, and all of these guys that they just find off the scrap heap.
Yeah.
And then I know that you think that Matthew Stafford is absolutely terrible, and I would agree with you that he's terrible in his Sleep Number commercial, but he's still pretty good at quarterback.
Yeah.
There was a commentary on Justin Herbert that goes around a lot, which is, he needs to win this game, but he is one of those guys who make throws that nobody else can. Matthew Stafford is one of those guys. I don't care. His arm talent is remarkable.
It is very remarkable. A lot like Baker Mayfield, though I wouldn't compare the two directly. Matthew Stafford is yin and yang. He will stun you sometimes out of great plays, and then he will stun you sometimes out of how stupid it looks like.
Because he thinks he can make all of those plays.
He is the definition of a drunk gunslinger.
A drunk slinger?
Now, those commercials.
Yeah.
They couldn't hire an acting coach?
I know. They're really, really bad.
I mean, 30 minutes with them just to be like, hey, Matthew, when you talk, you don't have to hold the same facial expression all the time. And I like it cooler.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad.
And his wife's carrying too much. She's trying to carry the
Yeah,
duo.
she's
overacting.
She definitely is. She's trying way too hard.
And two, like, they
seem
sleep
like,
in that.
They seem like an insufferable dinner party guest. Like
Yeah.
a couple comes over, they'd be like, oh, we were gonna bring something, but then we got busy and whatever, and they seem like
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah,
And I
everybody
remember-
wants to talk to Matthew Stafford, but he doesn't want to talk to anybody, and she wants to talk to everybody, and nobody cares about her.
Yeah, and she's always kind of protecting him.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
if somebody
yeah,
gets
yeah.
in a conversation about something that might be dicey about the family, she
Yep.
kind of
Oh yeah,
swoops in.
Well,
and
just
is
a
like,
question
"We're
about
leaving."
football, and she
Right.
just shows up, and she's like, "Oh, he plays football," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's fine."
You don't have to answer that, Matthew.
Yeah. We don't talk about Detroit. We don't talk about the Detroit years.
The kids were very unhappy.
I know you don't like gambling. I know you don't like picking games, but I want to know what your ideal matchups are as the playoffs go on. If we look at this whole slate, if you could manufacture matchups for the second round, what would they look like? So we will take a look at that, and I will probably have to explain to you how the second round of the NFL playoffs work.
Yes. The
And
annual
our
tradition.
annual tradition.
Yeah.
So we do that next. But first, a Sports Center update.
Okay, so we do know about the wildfires that are going on in California. They
Oh, my
have
God, yeah.
affected the game between the Rams and the Vikings. This will be played now in Arizona. There is also another weather event that is occurring in
Snowstorms.
Atlanta.
Yeah, snowstorms in the southeast. So the same weather system that created those 100-mile-an-hour winds is pushing up a big old thing of bad weather into the southeast. So yeah, you're looking at possible big snowstorms this weekend across the southeast, from Texas to the Carolinas up into DC. So it's gonna be terrible. And just a second on the wildfires. My in-laws are in Southern California. They're not in the path of the fire, but my father-in-law and his family went to the school in Pacific Palisades and lived there, and their home is gone. And watching places where we were adjacent to just getting wiped off the map. Just if you have family down there, or if you're from the area and know places, just my heart goes out to you and anybody that you know that's down there. So this is one of those things that's really, really tough to watch. And I watched Lahaina burn a couple years ago, another place that I lived. If there's anything that you can do to support anybody down there, do what you can, because it's going to be years and years. Because not only will it be tough to rebuild in those areas, at least with Lahaina, it's still a toxic nightmare where the amount of pollution and everything that's on the ground after these fires is going to be awful. So it's going to be, I can't even imagine. And it's not done. Hopefully they can get everything, all the fires out by Tuesday, where the wind's supposed to pick up again. So sending prayers and everything that we can to anybody that's affected directly or indirectly.
Yes, definitely. In terms of the sports affecting Atlanta, the Rockets and Hawks game got postponed, and apparently got postponed after the Rockets had landed. They landed there, and
and they have to stay on the plane.
It was choppy, and they were like, "Okay, we're done. We're not doing this." So.
Right
Crazy
decision.
times.
Right decision. We've learned this over the years, where if you don't need to play, don't play.
More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Will Darkins from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or to your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-507-9701. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-507-9701. That's 800-507-9701. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Bellagio's Pizza, Northwest owned and operated since 1996. This is Mike Barrett. Bellagio's has been a family favorite of ours for years. I love that they're local, that they give back to the community, to schools, to organizations. But mostly I love that Bellagio's Pizza is so good. If you've had it, you know what I'm talking about. The dough and sauce are still made fresh in Wilsonville every day. They've stayed true to their process and you can taste it. 13 locations in our area. Bellagio's Pizza, the very best.
Okay, so that's with bacon, cheese, lettuce, tomato, grilled onions, ketchup.
is between the Vikings and the Rams. That's 2.5 points. The Commanders-Buccaneers is a 3-point difference in that game. The Chargers are favored by 3 over the Texans. If you scramble all the way up to the biggest spreads, the Buffalo Bills are favored by 8.5 over the Broncos. The Ravens are favored by 9.5 over the Steelers. From a points standpoint, the lowest scoring game from a total is 41.5 for the Chargers-Texans. The highest is 50.5 for the Commanders-Buccaneers. Just some information on the direction games look like people think they might be going. But my question to you is my favorite question on a weekend like this. If you could watch only one of these games, Mr. Darkins, which game would it be? Yeah, I know. You weren't ready for that, were you?
What? He said what?
You can only watch one game, dude. Which one? If you sit down, you can keep an eye on the scores of all the other ones.
You know what?
But you can watch from kickoff to the final play.
Ravens Steelers. Because the outcome's going to be catastrophic.
I think
seriously,
yeah.
If Mike Tomlin loses this game, how as a fan base do you not go, I think it's time?
But what do you do if John Harbaugh loses this
game? And then if he
game?
loses, as a fan base, you definitely have to go, this guy's got to go.
Oh, man.
So the result, either way, the result is going to be catastrophic for either of these teams.
Yeah.
It just will. I don't know as a Steelers fan if you can lose this game and then really say to yourself, with this defense, this is fine. I mean, seriously, dude.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, this is fine.
I'm with you.
No. We don't know. Especially the fact that Bengals shoot themselves in the foot every single season, and the Browns look to be dead for the next decade.
The Bengals.
No, this is okay.
The Bengals have one of the highest paid defenses in the league that just totally underperformed.
Horrible.
They have like the best receiver quarterback combination in with one of the most historic seasons in league history, and they just couldn't get in. That's the one team on the outside that I wish was in. The best record on the outside that's not in is the Seattle Seahawks, and I do not miss them in this field at all, and that is my team because I don't think they were going anywhere. But the Bengals, I think, could have done some real damage in this, and having Joe Burrow in there with that list of great quarterbacks that we already went through in the AFC, it's fantastic. I think you're right. I think that's the one game where they just play each other every year, and it feels like they have shots at each other in the playoff every other year. It's that game just feels like there's so much on, and I genuinely have no idea where you're gonna get from the Steelers offense.
No,
I have no idea, and
they're prepping this to be.
And I have no idea where you're gonna get from the Baltimore offense.
Yeah, they're prepping this thing to be like they're gonna roll out Cirque du Soleil.
It could
the
be
Steelers. Yeah, they're like it's all cards are on the table.
They're what it was Arthur Smith's line. We're willing to burn. This is a burn down the ship game. Like you will use every resource at your disposal. There's only one way you win this game on an offensive side is kitchen sink it, and you may see packages for Justin Fields out there where you just go out and get in two fullbacks and Justin Fields getting direct snaps and have him run the ball, and who knows what you'll get from Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, for all of his flaws and his vagabond path he's taken over the last couple years, in big moments he makes big plays. He always has. He
has in the past.
He hasn't had opportunities the last couple years, so we don't know. So I mean, I think the whole game is must watch television.
Yeah, now Eagles-Packers is obviously a close second just because of the talent level between the two offenses, and also because
Chargers-Texans I'd put up there too. I don't know.
Chargers-Texans kind of, though. What I will say about the Chargers is their brand of offense is not the most exhilarating thing you'll ever see.
I guess I'm excited to see.
Also, I know what you're about to say. Justin Herbert. You're going to see Justin Herbert. Oh.
I want to see what the Texans bring. Like they're the biggest afterthought in this. They won a game last year. They do have a good quarterback. Did he have a great year? No, but he had a sophomore year. But I still think that there's enough talent on that team that if they were to go and upset the Chargers, I would not be terribly surprised. They're at home. Yeah. They're at home. They're playing, with really nothing to lose, I think. I mean, they're not. Nobody's getting fired. There's no hot seat. That it's a team that's going to continue to get better. They're very young, but if they win, I think you have to take a little bit of notice.
I mean, I'm excited about that game because you have competent coaching with Justin Herbert in a playoff game, which the last time he was in a playoff game was one of the biggest disasters ever.
What were they up, 27?
Yes. And might I add, this was also the Al Michaels game where he sounded completely disinterested in one of the biggest comebacks in NFL history. Seriously, go back on YouTube and listen to that. And they've come back.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we got to go.
No, we don't.
I think we do.
No, we're short on breaks.
Oh,
I guess we can start, but
all right.
Yeah.
No,
this is what I told you, dude. They don't. Our podcast is down there. We ain't bringing advertisers to this show.
No, we totally are. 100%. This is the best podcast that nobody listens to. I would totally agree with that. I don't know if you ever pulled those numbers, but I think we're doing just fine. I don't really think there's a bad game in this slate, but I'm with you. That AFC North battle, I almost got interested enough to watch the Hard Knocks. Maybe I'll binge some of that when I'm not watching football. I'll watch more football this weekend.
There you go.
All right. Well, whatever happens this weekend, we'll talk about it next weekend. We'll be back 9 to 11 next Saturday. That's 2 weeks in a row with you and I here.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
We're good.
Love the NFL playoffs. You got anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, thanks, Will. Thanks, everybody, for listening. For now, we're done. Bye-bye.
For life is quite absurd, and death's the final word. You must always face the curtain with a bow.
Thank you. I'm a genius.
You're drunk.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The home of Dirt and Sprague is KFXX, KWJJ HD2 Portland.
Everything is better when they do it. I'm not disappointed.
1080 The Fan, an Odyssey sports station.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. NFL Wildcard Weekend features a scheduling quirk with all 3 AFC games being played before the NFC games. The first 2 AFC games today.